So, hey Dave, nice to meet you. I'm Pedro Lima. I'm doing this for Keep Love Movies. It's a Canadian site, but I'm from Brazil. So excited to talk to you.
Meet you, Pedro.
First of all, I think I was rewatching the show, watching slash rewatching the episodes. And one of the things that really got me e- excited was that a lot of episodes, especially in the beginning of the show, they are very silent. There is very few score is very underscored. So first, how do you, as a composer, approach underscoring the film? I know that sometimes is a job of the director during the spotting, but in this case, feels very deliberate. It feels very like it seems very like you are also playing that part. So how was for especially those episodes to underscore and to keep it minimal. Especially the episode two. The episode two is very, very silent.
Yeah. So, first of all, I've a long, long history of working with this group of people, of course, and one thing among many things that Vince Gilligan has always understood is the power of music and the power of not overusing music. And I think music is most powerful when it is there for a very specific reason and for a very specific purpose. And so we spend a lot of time thinking about that. We spend very long spotting sessions, as you referenced. And one of the great things about working on TV show is that we have this crew of people that have been working together since the writers' room, and they're all there with me in that spotting session, and I can ask them questions, both about what we need to do with music in the micro, in that very specific moment that we're talking about, and also, of course, thinking about the broader macro version of the story that needs to be told across episodes and seasons and years. I think it's an aesthetic choice that we've always done. There's actually more music in Pluribus probably than in some of our other shows, because the sci-fi nature of it allows for that. But we are very, very careful not to use music unless we have a real reason to. And we talk as much about where not to use music as we do where we will use music.
Another thing that I couldn't not mention when talking to you is that you're really a master of crafting main titles. Your main title from Breaking Bad is one of the most iconic intros ever. Better Call Saul equally. And in Pluribus, you do something that is very unique. You use chorals that are very distorted and they are not like the European Catholic chorals, but they are like sort of it's part a voice is part of a cult. So tell me about like crafting the chorus and also making it all work to the main title, which is amazing.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, we knew, I think, from very, very early on that the use of voices was going to be a really important part of the score as a whole, because it was going to bring a level of humanity and uh, humanism, right, to a story that needs it, right? Because our we have a very human, right, who is our lead character, but also our foil, our enemy, if you will, is also human, and not a mindless zombie, but has all kinds of human sensibilities that we need to emotionally portray in the score. So, with that in mind, when it came time to think about the main title, what I wanted to do was single out a single voice as opposed to a group, which I'm using more often than not for Carol. But the trick of a main title, as always, is trying to say as much as you can about the show in just a few seconds. So for me, it was an opportunity to show uh, the broader sense of dichotomy and the questions that we're asking in the show. And the way I did that was to have basically just a two-part vocal piece, but very importantly, sung by the same woman. So it is the same voice singing two different parts, contrasting with each other, rubbing against each other in some cases and working harmoniously in other moments, but showing this conflict between the self and the group, and the loneliness and the wantingness, that inevitable human desire to be togetherness, to have togetherness, all in one piece in just a few seconds.
Yeah, I think it works very well, and you translate it to the score as a whole. There's a lot of moments of chorus, and I think it's really, really interesting. But also another element that I researched that the show had a lot of music supervisors, as the other uh, Vince Gilligan's show. He works with a lot of supervisors, but you kind of incorporate that. One of my favorite moments is the elevators scene where Burt Bacharach plays, and I think for me is a big fan service because Burt Bacharach is my favorite songwriter of all time. He's the greatest, and he was also a very good scorer. People forget it.
True.
And but how does working for you after it's been almost 2 decades of working with Vince to incorporate his or his team music supervision team uh songs to the score and to make it work as a current piece.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's one of the great things about working with the same group of people for so long is we just have this secondhand nature and knowledge of working together that it's just comes with time and experience. Our longtime music supervisor Thomas Golovich has amazing choices and amazing taste, and he is of course a huge part of these spotting sessions that we have when we sit down and talk about music for every episode. And so in addition to talking about where music is going to go and where it shouldn't go, we're talking about where there is going to be music, whether it should be score, original score from me, or whether it should be a licensed piece. And yes, as you point out, crucially, how those things can work together, right? How can, and in that scene you reference, right? There's the wonderful turning on, right, of the elevator music in an elevator, which couldn't be better. And then, right, and then it segues into score because, of course, the scene is navigating through, moments of lightness, and then very quickly into a much more serious scene. So working together, constant communication, talking through all those things from the beginning. For me, the communication and the discussion is so crucial before anybody even starts to think about writing music or picking music. And then it's just, time and experience and knowing how those things are worked together to make the most powerful impact that we can with the music for the show.
So there are some things that I'm really curious when talking to a composer because Uh, the scope really varies from project to project. When you're doing like a huge film, you're going to have like most of the times you're going to have a really big orchestra, really big team. When
Hmm.
you're doing a TV show, which is more minimalist, you can use pads, you can use a few instruments. And in this case, in your score for Pluribus, I kind of feel that it's a mix of both. It feels intimate, it feels small at times when it needs to be small, but also you work with the Vienna Synchron Choir and also with the orchestra. So how do you define the scope of the score? Because I think it's at the same times it's minimal and at the same times when it needs to be, especially in the a friend told me to mention you the end scene of episode 4 and also the end scene of the episode 9, which become like really big and like
Hmm.
enormous piece of music.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly one of the benefits and the challenges of working on Pluribus is that it has enormous scale, right? It has enormous scope, and we need to portray that in the music. We need to help sell the weight and the just the enormous stakes that are involved in the show. But the trap could be, right? using that giant orchestra that I have at my disposal, which is an incredible gift, all the time. And that would not be the right choice because, as you point out, the show maneuvers deftly between things that are of this massive global scale and importance to a very, very singular and independent person's story. And so, right in line with using and not using music, just as important for me is the scale of that music and the size of it. So I am purposefully using at times an entire orchestra, and then in other days of recording, I've pared that orchestra down to a much smaller group in order to record the scenes that I know need to be more intimate and more heartfelt.
And lastly, I would like to ask you, you also have a credit as the score mixer in this one. So I would like to know, how does mixing your work affects it? Because I know sometimes uh, I feel I know it depends of each composer. Sometimes the composer, he does not orchestrate, but he mix. Sometimes he orchestrates and mix. Sometimes he does nothing, only, but he writes the parts. Sometimes they do it all. They record, they edit. I know this more modern guys already doing on the computer, and it's all the Fruit Loops and etc. So how does like mixing your score isn't why is it important to you to also mix your score?
I like to do the mixing of my own music whenever I can. I don't always, but when I'm able to, for me, it's bringing the creative process full circle, right? It's me following my music from its creation, right, and its first discussions, all the way to the finish line, and to make sure that it's always accomplishing the things that we've talked about from the very beginning, and it has my stamp on it, and it has my own sensibility to it. There's great great, amazing creative things that can come through collaboration with other people too, for sure. But for something like particularly the Vince Gilligan work that I do, it's he follows his story right from the very beginning all the way to the mix stage. And he's making sure that it's following the timeline and the creative arc that he wants it to from beginning to end. And so for me, in my little part, in my little world of the original score, it's really important for me to try to do the same.
Yeah, so thank you so much for talking to me, Dave.
You're so welcome.
It was really an honor, and congratulations on the on this work. I feel that
Thank
you are three of three right now with the Vince Gillian series,
you.
all banger. So congratulations on the work, and
Thank you
congratulations
so
on the
much.
Emmy nom as well.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time, Pedro.
Yeah.
Have a great day.